Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What's happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
Folks, we have a lot to talk about in the land of sports. I know we missed last week's episode. Obviously, Mother Nature decided to cancel that on us.
Yeah.
To say the least. A random snowstorm in April.
That was gone 2 days later.
Reasons. I wish I had a better explanation, but I
had an explanation for you. It hit 70 like 2 days later.
Oh, I know, but trying to predict the weather up here in upstate New York is very, very tough to do.
True.
You roll the dice and take the chances. But folks, you have not missed that roll. You have definitely hit the jackpot with this episode of the ODPH, and we definitely want to interact with you. So make sure to swing on over to odphpodcast.com. Join in the conversation on our social media accounts. They're all right there. We interact with everybody. Check out Parlay Point's new blogs dropping, especially one concerning our second segment, which I want to tease a little bit.
Oh.
I was surprised we got an email from an old friend, so we'll fill you in about that a little later in the show. T-Public Store sale going on this week as we are recording, so you definitely want to make sure you swing on over there. Go get some ODPH swag. There is so much good stuff there. I tell you what, you can just get lost there, and you'll save yourself some money. I mean, perfect way to do this. All of that, the classifieds, the directory. If it is the ODPH, it can simply be found at odphpodcast.com. But kicking off the sports edition of the podcast, we have to talk some basketball.
Yeah.
So, Pad, the NBA playoffs are going on.
Yes, they are.
Let's get a recap because, unfortunately, one series has stolen the headlines from everybody and for the wrong reasons.
Well, wrong reasons. Maybe it depends on how you're looking at it. Of course, the series we are talking about is the Boston Celtics, who were taking on the Brooklyn Nets. Boston was the number 2 seed. Brooklyn was the number 7 seed. And, of course, we got Boston coming in, high expectations, given it comes with the name and all the championships they have. And then you got Brooklyn in the roller coaster, I guess you could say, they had of a season. High expectations, a lot of people picking them to win the NBA championship, win it all. They had a pretty solid lineup they had down there, at least on paper, with Durant, Kyrie, James Harden. And you get partway through the season, James Harden is gone, in comes Ben Simmons. Kyrie missed half the year because of his choices. Kyrie comes back, they make the playoffs, they win the play-in game. And then they get into this first round of the playoffs, and game one was a little close, were it not for, I believe it was the Marcus Smart. It was either Smart or Tatum. I forget who it was. Mm-hmm. At the end of the first game, hit the 0.3, 0.1, whatever. It was under 5. It was under 1 second. Game winner against them. Oh shit! And put them up 1 game to none over Brooklyn. Fast forward 3 games later, and you've now got the Brooklyn Nets, who are the first and only team in the playoffs to be swept out of the first round.
So let's break this down, shall we? For the rest of the Eastern Conference, you have Miami, who's running away against Atlanta.
Up 3-1.
You have Philly, that's actually kind of in a very intriguing story that they were up 3-1, but Toronto is scrapping with them, so it's currently 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee is definitely taking advantage of an injury-plagued Chicago Bulls team.
Who's also going to be missing Zach LaVine tonight because he's entered health and safety protocol.
Yeah, so it's a wrap for them. So the Eastern Conference, the only story going on is with Brooklyn, and there's no other story in the Western Conference that has as much sizzle. I know we should be talking about Phoenix and New Orleans, which is tied at 2.
Tied at 2. I believe New Orleans has only got 30 some odd wins. So there's some bizarre stat I heard. I can't remember it, but it was the win percentage differential. If New Orleans wins, it'd be the highest differential between the two teams or some shit like that. But it's the fact that New Orleans, who's the 8 seed, going up against Phoenix, the 1 seed, the series is tied 2-2. And if you were coming out of a coma, you think, oh, this has got to be because Zion Williamson. No, Zion ain't playing.
No, this is completely illogical to break down because New Orleans really had a scrap to get here.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
But the fact Phoenix is just not producing right now, I mean, this is something where you're overlooking an opponent maybe. I mean,
yeah, maybe.
I know they've kind of had their injury bug as well too, but this is something that we should be talking about, but we're not. And even the Dallas-Utah series where Dallas is up 3-2, that's been a great series to watch, very back and forth. Golden State doing Golden State things.
Yeah.
They're in easy form, so
yeah.
they're up 3-1 on Denver. And then the series another one that everybody should be talking about is Memphis and Minnesota.
Yeah, Memphis, the 2 seed, Minnesota, the 7 seed, currently tied 2 games apiece.
Right. But nobody is talking about that if you've gone on sports programming in the past 48 hours.
About the only other thing they're talking about when it comes to the NBA playoffs that isn't Boston-Brooklyn related is the bromance going on between Karl Anthony Towns and Ja Morant's father.
Yeah.
Which I love.
It's great.
It's amazing.
It's great. And I like stories like that. But no, we are so obsessed with the downfall of the Brooklyn Nets. Mm-hmm. And as a Knicks fan, I'm here for it. I am celebrating. But it's also puzzling to see how quickly that castle came crashing down.
Uh-huh.
Because let us talk about this team for this year.
Okay.
Brooklyn came in, and obviously this was year 2 of the Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant experiment.
Yes.
James Harden, they forced that deal out of Houston to get him there. Everybody had them penciled in. They're going to run away with the East. They're going to be like losing 10 games if lucky.
I mean, there was the one video clip that's been getting circulated around. I don't remember if it's from this offseason or a couple years ago. But Durant, Boston is going to have problems with us. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. They kept talking all that trash this entire year. And then, well, the drama started unfolding.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie, obviously, because of his vaccination choices, was not able to play home games because they are in the borough of Brooklyn, which is in the state of New York, and, or the city, which is in the city of New York, I should say. This wasn't a state rule; this was a city rule, and the city rule was if you are not vaccinated, you could not go into public places. So, as Kyrie Irving was not vaccinated, which he has made very publicly clear, he could not play home games. Which, in theory, they're like, okay. He can't play home games, but he can play away games outside of California because California also had the same rule that New York City did. All right, so that rules out, California games. Not that big a deal. That's still, 40 whatever games, he can play on the road. But then the team decided, no, you're not going to play those. You're just going to sit at home.
Exactly. And to see how the culture of winning severely was not there this season, really came back to haunt them because Kevin Durant, I will give him this. On the court, he plays hard every night.
Oh, absolutely.
I will not question that about the man. However, though, dealing with the media and dealing with the drama, and there's no other way to describe the atmosphere in Brooklyn other than dramatic, is another story. He is not helping his cause and did not help them the entire year, in my opinion.
Motherfucker got thin skin.
Exactly.
Sorry, but it is what it is.
It's true, though, but we've known about this for quite a while. The rumored burner Twitter account, obviously dealing with the backlash from leaving Oklahoma City to join your rivals after they beat you with Golden State. And then after he got his chip, everything fell apart there.
Right.
So the stigma has been around him about him having thin skin. I mean, it is what it is. Perception is reality. And then when he decided to go to Brooklyn and form the franchise there, he personally picked out Kyrie. And Kyrie has never been somebody to shy away from the drama.
No.
I mean, let's face it, ever since he's been in the league, he was in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And he was the superstar after LeBron had left to go to Miami.
The apparent savior.
LeBron comes back.
Yep.
They win a chip.
Yep.
It's a magical run for them.
Yep.
And then suddenly he can't handle being second fiddle.
Poor Kevin Love is caught in the middle.
So Kyrie finds his way to Boston.
Which on paper at the time we're like, all right, not bad.
It works. Boston had always had a solid team.
Yeah.
And he was going to be the face of the franchise.
He even said to people, I'm not going to leave if you'll have me back.
Oh, yeah. It was the big thing at the beginning of the year. He publicly told those fans. Never forget. He said that right in the middle of center court.
If you have me back, I'll stay here.
Right. But then that got toxic again, too, because he decided to go form a super team. He couldn't win with a Boston team that was in the stages. And I'll say it right now. As a Knicks fan, I hate saying this, but Boston right now is built to win for the next few years.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you don't believe it, you're not watching basketball. I don't know what else to tell you right now.
Brad Stevens, who's the general manager there, is doing a phenomenal job.
Exactly. He has built a monster team there, held by arguably the next superstar in the league, Jason Tatum.
Well, and you got to give Marcus Smart credit, too, because those two guys, if you look back a couple of years ago, were really getting pushed around. But they've bulked up and they've sized up a bit that, well, now they're doing the pushing.
Exactly. So Boston has been built now for a deep run. They're ready to go. So when we start talking about, the shifting of power from the Western Conference to the East, I know it's been kind of in debate. Okay, what are we going to do here? X, Y, and Z. Boston is going to be one of those focal teams that is going to have that shift there. They are doing it. They're playing the best team basketball in all of the NBA. Mark the tape. They are playing both sides of the ball excellent. And they are definitely imposing their will on teams. So when Kyrie decided to leave and go to Brooklyn, and this became the big splash, and I will admit, and I've always said this on this podcast, originally I was hoping they came to New York and they came to the Knicks.
A lot of tape of that.
And I've never shied away with saying I've never been more glad to be wrong in my life, because they have created this culture of dysfunction in Brooklyn ever since they've been there. They had the team ready to go. Kyrie has been just dramatic with everything going on with him.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen A. Smith, I believe, even called him, to paraphrase, the most selfish player in all of professional sports.
One of them, yeah. I think these days that honor goes to Ben Simmons, but yeah.
But that goes there, too, as well, because obviously last year, they didn't have enough pieces to make the run.
Yep.
They went out, they forced that deal with Houston. They get James Harden, who, I mean, we heard the rumors of the secret games in L.A. that they were playing and such.
Well, they've mended fences, But the thing is, Harden's obviously a very good player. I mean, look at the stats. The dude's got more triple doubles than I'll ever have cars. He's obviously a very good scorer, but just never been able to get it together. I mean, even look at some of those teams he had in Houston.
Yeah.
With all those guys. Just in hindsight, 2020. Made sense at the time. Looking back now, no way it could have worked.
No, it was never going to work, because, I mean, there's just too many egos involved there, and that's the problem that they have. But this is a situation where the Nets have done it to themselves. Their general manager, Sean Marks, definitely has created this monster. They have to now find a way to deal with it. The owner, Joan Tazai, he's got to take some fault for this as well,
too. Absolutely. I think because Irving and Durant are obviously very good players. They're superstars.
Oh, absolutely.
They're superstars. But I think the issue of it is you've got two guys who are superstars, but neither of them are the type to really take hold of a team and be the leader. Guys will listen to Durant and they'll listen to Irving, but that's, I think, more out of reverence and respect for who they are and their level of talent amongst their teammates. Neither one of them, and the reason I say this is, look at Durant's track record when he was in Oklahoma City. Made all those runs, even made it to the finals the one time.
Sure.
Never won the chip. Joined a 73-win team and won a chip. Yeah, he won 2 MVPs, and he made a lot of contributions to that team in the finals, hence why he won the MVPs. But it's like being, the brush that gets put in a brand new Ferrari. Like, yeah, it looks real sexy. You're the brush in the brand new Ferrari, but it's a fucking Ferrari. He joined a 73-win fucking Warriors team. Like, okay, yeah, it added a little bit to it, but what did it really make the team all that much better? So he won the chips. Now he's out here in Brooklyn. What the fuck has he done? Same thing with Kyrie. Kyrie had the run with LeBron where obviously, had they have not run into the Warriors for, 8, 9 straight years or whatever the hell it was, might have won more championships because he had LeBron there. Arguably, the reason they were there year in and year out was because of LeBron, and that was LeBron in his prime.
Yes.
Where he's not as injured as he is these days. And once Kyrie left LeBron, how deep has he really made it in the playoffs? Maybe past the first round?
Yeah, I mean, they have not really done anything to write home about.
Yeah.
And this is a team that everybody anointed to get to the finals. I know at the preseason it was going to be Brooklyn and L.A. getting there.
Oh, yeah.
The Lakers have had their own problems, and Russell Westbrook had one of the worst years in recent memory.
Well, the Lakers got their own issues. I mean, injuries notwithstanding. And also listen, their lineup looks really good if you're playing NBA 2K. But let's face it, that roster is old.
Yeah.
Dwight Howard, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony. There's a lot of tread on those tires, and there is a lot of load management you're going to have to do with those tires.
Yeah.
It's not built to win a long season like this.
Oh, I agree with you completely. They had one more shot to win. I think it's probable that window is closed.
I think so.
I mean, I don't want to say...
barring like some sort of freak circumstance and freak set of situations, maybe, but like in terms of like they're going to run the table and win the whole damn thing, no. You got to have a weird set of circumstances that makes it happen.
Exactly. I mean, I agree with you too. And obviously they can do a lot of work in the offseason. I'll give them that.
Oh, sure. It's the Lakers.
But yeah, exactly. The Lakers are actually going to be rebounding quicker than Brooklyn here because this is where the situation lies. The culture that has been built there is not built to win.
No. You're
facilitating your two superstars who have immense egos, but are not leaders on that court.
No, they're not. Neither one of them is the type of guy that will take over the game, be the voice in the locker room, like a Steph Curry, like a LeBron, like a Giannis, like a Chris Paul, like some of these other, like you can just go through NBA teams and pick out, okay, that's probably the guy that is the voice in the locker room. They'll make their feelings known, but neither one of them like to, all right, let's go, guys. Let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. They're too used to coasting. I mean, I hate saying it, but it's the truth. I mean, you look at what they've done or lack thereof.
Yeah.
How are you going to tell me otherwise? Yeah, sure. They've contended. They did make a run a little bit last year.
Sure. I mean, they made it past the first round, but then they lost.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. Nobody remembers how you did in the second round unless you go to the finals or win the chip. That's the cold hard truth of sports. Sure, you can get a participation trophy all you want, but nobody remembers that except you.
Yep.
But to see how this team did, and then the ultimate anchor in the ocean, so to speak, for them, is you traded James Harden for one Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons, what was it? Seth Curry was involved. There's a couple other guys involved. And at the time, everyone's looking like, oh my God, Brooklyn fleeced Philly. How the hell can you let this happen? And, Ken, how many minutes has Ben Simmons played in the NBA this season?
0.
As many as you and I, and as many as probably most of you listening at home. Which he's got his own thing, whatever it is. The supposed back issue, the supposed other stuff he's trying to figure out, that's fine and dandy, but, like, don't come out and have them say, what was it, Friday, Saturday? Oh, he's going to play game 4. And then we get to the day before, and, oh, just kidding. He's not playing.
The one aspect that I find questionable, and I know that he's came out and they said about his mental health, and I'm not taking any shots at that. I'm saying if he's physically able to go, this is where I kind of have the issue with. On team sports, you're in the playoffs. That is your season.
Yep.
Anything else prior doesn't matter.
No.
It's lose and go home. So as a teammate, if you are ready to play, and if he wasn't, he shouldn't have been on the sidelines.
No, absolutely not.
You don't come down there, and I know on First Take and a few of the other sports programs, they pointed this out, and I fully agree. You don't come out dressed like you're going to Fashion Week.
Nope.
To draw that much attention to you on the sidelines.
Nope. Suit, tie, that's it.
Yeah, whatever is going on there, if he wasn't ready to go for the team for whatever reason physically.
Right, and there are claims that, he still wasn't 100%. Find me a player, past or present, who was ever reaching this point of the season and was 100%.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan in his prime would reach this point and never be 100%. The late Kobe Bryant was never 100% at this point. Christ, there were probably a couple playoffs. Kobe was playing with dislocated joints and ligaments. You're never going to be 100% when you reach this point in the playoffs. If you're good enough to go, even if it's not the full amount of minutes you normally play a game, if you can contribute 5-10 minutes during a game, that's all that matters.
I fully agree with you, and that's the problem that they have here. He was not committed to the team.
Nope.
And you have to question that. And like I say, I'm excluding anything about the mental health thing. Because I don't know. Because if he's not mentally right to play, then he shouldn't be down there.
No.
I'm going to say it right now.
If your head's not in it to play the game, don't be there.
Exactly. You can't be there.
Because if you're good enough to show up, you're not good enough to play.
Yeah, and especially if you're giving
the optics are bad.
Exactly. That's the problem with it. So if he's not ready to go, he shouldn't be there.
No.
And if you keep saying, well, he's going to play game 3, he's going to play game 4, if you keep pushing it, then you are telling us, the way I'm interpreting that, he is physically and mentally ready to go.
And he wasn't even contributing anything, at least from what I could tell. There was some other player, I forget who it was, but there was somebody that was fairly, not like a super mega star, but like fairly well-known, mostly well-known player, and I'm sure somebody's going to be screaming it listening to this episode. But like, they weren't playing that night for whatever reason, whether it was injury, night off, whatever. They were still on the sidelines coaching and telling them, hey, I'm sitting here watching this. Why don't you try to do this? Why don't you try to do that? What was Simmons doing? Sitting there with his thumb up his ass.
Yeah, I mean, the optics just tell a different story than whatever you're going to try telling us. That's the issue you have, because after they got him out of Philly and how toxic things got there, that you can play with Joel Embiid, they got him into a situation which, honestly, on paper is perfect for him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a guard who doesn't like to shoot.
And he doesn't have to when you've got Irving and Durant.
Yeah, so if you facilitate him, they just needs to go play a forward position, for the lack of a better term.
It's the Dennis Rodman role. Don't score, just get rebounds.
Yeah, like if he can contribute that and give you 10 minutes where he takes some pressure off your shooters,
yeah,
you've done the job. That's all you need to do for this team. But if you're saying that you're not ready to go for whatever reason, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be there. And that's the situation, because what you're saying is on the sideline, if your PR people are mentioning, that he's going to be coming back for the playoffs, he's going to be coming here.
Oh, yeah.
If you're pushing that narrative, then that is saying that he's ready to play.
Yeah. And the fact that you came out Friday, Saturday, or whatever, it was 72 hours before the game, that, Ben Simmons is going to play game 4. Stephen A. Smith on NBA Countdown goes, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. When the optics are coming off like that, there's something else going on.
And even then, when I was watching First Take on Monday, they were talking about the whole thing, and one of their reporters who covers the Nets fairly regularly was asking all the players, in practice and other stuff, like, is Ben Simmons going to play? Every single one of them told this reporter, oh.
Yeah, nobody knows what's going on. See, that's the problem you have there. You look at the great organizations that are in the sports leagues.
Yeah.
You can take a look at wherever you want to go.
Sure.
The great ones know the business of their talent that they have on their teams.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what they're doing with that team. If they don't, guess what? They're not there. Or you know what? They have an answer for it. Nobody goes, I don't know. Because how you're saying that is your teammates and the people around there are saying, well, he's ready to go, but he's not suiting up.
Yep.
Well, why not? I don't know. I'm sorry. So you're going to come down there, hang out, but you're not ready to play? Well, why not?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, it looks like you're quitting on him.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
For whatever fucking petty reason he's got, and I know he's got the grievance filed with the NBA for the $20 million he's supposedly owed, and there's been stories and rumors going back and forth about how, that's the only reason he was on the sidelines is to keep up the optics, and so it looked like it would help him in his case to get the $20 million. And there's rumors his team wanted him to sit in the sideline last night, with his gear on, but not play. But they thought it would hurt his grievance with the NBA. Motherfucker, stop.
If you're trying to work that, I mean, you should
hire a new legal team.
Exactly. I'm sorry. That's just nonsense. That is one of the most dumb reasons to do what you're doing. If that is the case, I'm sorry. If you're that worried about your $20 million lawsuit, you said?
Yep.
Then you're not there for the right reasons.
No. And
you're becoming a distraction on a team that is not strong to deal with pressure to begin with.
And it's going to end up costing everybody. And his antics and then the stuff surrounding Kyrie is going to end up costing players. When the next CBA comes up.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, they're going to be.
It's sad, but it's going to be the actions of a few are going to affect the actions of all. Because again, say what you will about him, whether love him or hate him, you still got to take what Stephen A. Smith said on First Take into account, because he's covered the NBA for 3 decades, and he's covered 4 collective bargaining agreements. So he's been around the block when it comes to this stuff, and they got to be coming up on one soon. But with all this stuff, he said on First Take the other day, I've never seen in the owners I've spoken to, the owners so unanimously in sync about an opinion like I've seen players skipping out.
Yeah. They're seeing it. So, like I said, if he is really not in good condition, he shouldn't be there. He should go. And he should go get the treatment that he needs. I will fully say that. if this is all a ploy to sell the story of your lawsuit, that's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
And this is the type of drama that has been allowed to build in Brooklyn now for 2 years.
Yep.
And this is not coming to an easy end. I heard the press conference after.
Oh, yeah.
And if I am a Brooklyn Nets fan, I am very, very worried.
Yeah, Kyrie wants to stay with Durant in Brooklyn, and they really want to manage the team. Motherfucker, how about you show up?
Mm-hmm.
Because they threw up a stat on, I was watching Get Up this morning on ESPN. They threw up a stat and it was in the corner, so you could almost miss it. But I caught it. Thought this was very interesting. Including the playoffs for Kyrie Irving's Brooklyn Nets career, 116 games played, 118 games missed.
That's ridiculous.
And now, I'm sure some of those could be for injuries.
Sure.
Legitimate injuries like, oh, my finger's broken or some bullshit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's played 116 games. He's missed 118, and that's including the playoffs. You want to sit there and tell me, oh, we want to manage, I want to manage the team with Durant. You were supposed to have played like 250 some odd games together.
Mm-hmm.
You've only played 58. Now, granted, part of that was the first year Irving was there. Durant was out because he had the Achilles injury.
Sure, he's coming back, yeah.
But still, you had the opportunity for 250 plus games to play together, and you played 58. You got to actually fucking show up for work if you want to be in that kind of quote unquote management position. That's like me not showing up to my work, my job, 3 days out of the week, but still expecting a promotion to manager.
Yeah, you just don't.
Not going to happen.
You don't do it. In fact, the scariest quote, just to reiterate this from the press conference, to quote Kyrie, when I say I'm here with Kev, that entails us managing this franchise together along with Joe and Sean, end quote. So you're now asserting yourself that you are part of the managerial portion of this organization?
Man missed half the year and gave himself a promotion.
Like, I'm sorry, you don't have that swing. And I understand that the NBA is a little more flexible,
sure,
just from the optics of letting the players run the teams, just because we see now the formation of super teams all the time. So this is a situation that has become the norm, and it drives me nuts from a competitive standpoint. I understand, though, it happens, and listen, you really see what teams are made of because ever since the super team era has happened, how many of them have won chips?
Yeah.
That have come together, not by the draft.
Right.
Because Golden State, I would say, is the closest to a real super team, but they were smart because they did everything via the draft.
Yeah.
And like minor free agency here and
there.
Yeah. Everybody didn't go make a decision on ESPN that they were going to South Beach and have their buddies come and meet them there.
Right.
Or, in the situation of Boston where they were very smart with the original super team, I would say, with Rondo, Paul Pierce.
No, it was Pierce, Allen, and Garnett.
Yes, thank you. So, like I say, in those kind of situations, but how many times did they win consistently each and every year?
Right. Boston was there for a few years, but then Miami came along and kind of was that buzzsaw.
Right, but they gave the blueprint of how to do it. But then they go to the finals 4 years, they go 2-2.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? So when you're looking at how these super teams are put together, are they really worth the struggle? And especially now with Kyrie and Kevin leading the ship here, and especially handpicking their coach too.
Yeah.
And let's say Steve Nash is definitely at fault here too. He's not escaping this.
I mean, yes and no. I don't want to put the full blame on him for this.
No, not full blame, but he gets blamed.
He gets blamed, but what did you expect? The dude's got a great mind for basketball, and he's one of the best NBA point guards of all time, depending on where you rank him. But at the same token, he has never coached basketball of any level or of any experience from, ABA or the youngest basketball association all the way up to college or the NBA prior to this season. Why the fuck would you do this? It makes no goddamn sense. It would have made more sense if you'd have gone off and gotten a guy who's been on the bench behind Popovich or somebody from the Pat Riley tree or the Phil Jackson tree. But Steve Nash in his first coaching experience? What?
Exactly. But this is, like I say, you let the inmates run the asylum. And for what is going on here, I'm going to say a very cold hard truth to Brooklyn fans. You need to implode this team. You're not going to want to hear this. You're going to say, wait, this is an overreaction. No, it's not. If I am the ownership of Brooklyn, if I'm Joe Tsai and I'm Sean Marks, I am making drastic changes this offseason.
Uh-huh.
The only player that I think is safe from the ones we have mentioned right now is Kevin Durant, because I will say this. He has played through a lot of injuries this year.
Sure.
He is still, I don't think, ever really fully recovered from his Achilles tear.
I don't think so.
In Golden State.
I don't think
but
so.
he's given you everything he can.
Yeah.
But he looked drained this entire playoff run.
I think he might have had a nagging injury because he did not look as fresh as he normally does. Which, granted, like I said, nobody's fresh and 100% at this point in the season. But for what you would expect from him at this point in the year, just didn't look like he had it all.
No, I mean he was gassed. I mean you can see it in him. I mean just everything.
Well, when you got a guy showing up half the year and not giving a fuck.
Well, that's the problem. But you created this monster too. Like, you are all responsible for what is there.
Because I genuinely believe Kyrie does not give a fuck.
No, he doesn't care.
Look at that press conference. When most instances, any sport, you get eliminated in the playoffs. If anything gets brought up in the press conference about next year or the upcoming season, even if you're on a contract year and your contract is technically up at the end of the calendar year for the sport because that's my contract's up at the end of the year for the sport. You know, most guys, when the future gets brought up, or you're going to resign, most guys are like, you know what, I don't want to think about that right now. I'm still thinking about what just happened. I'll revisit that with the team down the road. Reporter asked that to Kyrie after the game. What did he say? Oh, of course I'm coming back. Kyrie does not give a fuck.
No, he doesn't, because you know what? I understand why he wants to come back. It's not to come back for the right reasons. They let him run crazy and do whatever he wants.
Oh, yeah, he can show up and play when he wants.
Yeah. Like, ever since this has been built since 2019, I honestly thought it was shorter. But no, it's been since 2019. No. So that's my mistake.
It's shorter in the amount of time they've played because, like we mentioned, Durant was out the 1 year.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they've been here this long. But yet, here we are.
Yeah.
And yet, these are still the problems that are happening. And if you're the Nets organization, you keep Durant, you try flipping Kyrie somewhere.
You have to, because Durant has been there for you. Durant has laid it all out there for you. Kyrie is fickle as they fucking come.
Yeah.
You look at what happened during the season that got shortened because of the pandemic, and he no-showed, and he told people not to come. And then he didn't show, and then you get to the following season where he didn't want to play and this and that, and then you had the nonsense where, I don't want to play. I got to sit back and reflect on the troubles of the world.
Yeah,
you know, and then I'm not going to get the vaccination because of my own personal beliefs, and I'm really going to, bail out on my team. But hey, I'm still here for him. Fucker, please.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry. There is no excuse for it.
Well, the only thing I could say about Durant is he's thin-skinned as fuck, but at least he shows up and he balls.
He'll ball. Like I say, he'll give you everything he can, but
thin-skinned as fuck.
That's the whole problem with him. So you have to get somebody around Durant. Like, I don't know who you can trade for, because obviously it's like, who? And no, I don't see them working a deal out with the Lakers for Westbrook.
Fuck
so
no,
don't even bother asking me about this. The argument is going to be, can you move Kyrie, and what organization is willing to take a risk on him? There is somebody.
Somebody will do it.
Somebody will do it. I can't really give you a name of who.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, would I say if you tried shipping him out west, maybe a Dallas?
Yeah, maybe.
Because Dallas likes to take risks on some people.
Yeah.
And obviously give Luka some help.
Yeah, Luka needs some help.
That would be a good place to land. I know he wouldn't go to Sacramento because I think you could definitely.
No.
But you could definitely work draft picks and get some talent there. I mean, there are places if you can really work some deals to go. I think Dallas is the one that was kind of jumping at me a little bit.
Yeah, it's just going to depend on if Brooklyn does want to send him. Keep your requests low, so that way if you do really want to get rid of him, you have a chance of getting rid of him. Don't put the asking price astronomical, because then you're just going to be stuck with this headache next year.
Exactly. That's the problem you're going to have, because I believe he has one more year left on his contract, and then he's gone. So, but if I'm the Nets, I try moving him now. Do what you can. It doesn't make sense. You're not helping your organization in any way, shape, or form. You're not. And as for Ben Simmons, outright release him.
Yeah.
Listen, the experiment is not working.
Nope.
And if he's
using you for his own ends.
Yeah. So if you feel like getting worked, keep him on the roster, because from the aesthetic that your team has projected out, he's fine.
Yeah.
He can play. He doesn't want to. Then why do you want him on your roster? Why do you want him in the capital of New York basketball
Yeah.
which is Brooklyn in the Garden. Like I said, you got them in.
It's all in the same location.
It's all there. Where basketball is probably the biggest sport in New York City.
Probably.
Because I will say this: if the Knicks ever win a championship,
Aye.
it'll be a bigger riot than you've ever seen than the Yankees or the Rangers winning the cup.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
And we don't even need to talk about the Giants and Jets. It don't matter. This is a situation you have.
The Jets win a championship, there'll be more heart attacks than anything.
No, it'd be a shock if anything. But with Brooklyn being the heart and soul of basketball
Yeah.
in New York City,
Yeah.
you can't keep him on there.
No, you've tried this experiment. You know, he's bailed on you at least 2-3 times. Mm-hmm. You cannot depend on this guy. He has shown his colors. You know what he is, and he's not going to change. You know, he's set in his ways, and that's fine. You know, do you, boo-boo. Mm-hmm. You know, but you know what you're going to get with this guy. You know, and I honestly, if I'm a teammate in that locker room that's not named Kevin Durant or Ben Simmons, I would not trust this guy.
I don't trust him. In fact, I would say out of this situation, I have no idea where Ben Simmons would end up. I think he'd be out of the league.
I think so too, just because you look at the nonsense he pulled in Philly and now the nonsense he's pulling here, you can't trust him. He's gonna use you to his own ends.
Yeah. I mean, the track record speaks for itself. It is an interesting slope that they have to now walk. And I also think Steve Nash has got to go. Why Mark Jackson has not been talked about for coming in to coach and rebuild that team is beyond me.
His name is getting floated around, I know, with the Lakers.
I know it is, but you know what? Obviously, at this stage of the game, you got to bring him in. You got to bring in somebody that's going to be hard-nosed and somebody that's not going to be afraid to do it.
Yeah, you do.
You're not going to get Popovich out of San Antonio, but you need somebody that's not going to sit there and take any nonsense from a team that is not emotionally ready to handle the bright lights in big city. I'm sorry. You need to get somebody in there that's fiery, that's going to get in their face, and is going to let them know, like, this is a team. If you're not being part of the team, you need to leave. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an interesting offseason now.
And grow some fucking skin.
Well, they're going to have to. If you're going to play in New York, you got to. No question about that. But that being said, ODPH Society, we have given you our take about the Brooklyn Nets, but we definitely want to hear yours. So hit us up on the hashtag ODPHpod. What is your thoughts about the Brooklyn Nets' demise this year? And let's talk about some of the other playoff games. There's a lot of great series going on, but you wouldn't know about it if you're watching any sports media right now because all eyes are on Brooklyn. So let's discuss, shall we? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nick. I'm the host of Nikolai's Kitchen, and I'm also the host of the annual Livestream for the Cure. Livestream for the Cure is a charity event where we raise money with content creators and podcast partners from around the world for the Cancer Research Institute, a wonderful nonprofit researching cancer immunotherapy, training the body's immune system to fight all forms of cancer. This is a mission and a future that I truly believe in. And myself and my team worked tirelessly over the past 5 years to raise over $50,000 for this cause. This year, we're aiming for our biggest single goal to date of $20,000, and we cannot do it without your help. Please join us for the event May 19th through the 21st, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern, for 45 hours of content from people all over the world. Together, we can bring hope for a future immune to cancer. The more eyes we reach, the more dollars we raise. Please help us in making this goal a reality. Together, we can make a difference.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and it's time to talk some football.
Yeah.
The NFL is ready to kick off its spring edition of business. I know we had free agency come and go.
Yeah.
But now is where all eyes are setting upon Las Vegas.
Yep.
And no, it's not to crown the Raiders as champions yet. Shout out to Rich from 3FM. It is time to talk the NFL draft.
Yeah.
So this is where, for 3 days, the NFL hits the reset button. They try reassembling their teams via the free agent or via college drafting of the players and really trying to fill in their rosters so they can really make a dent into the upcoming season along with the free agents that they have signed in the offseason. Mm-hmm. It is a major event because a team can really make or break their franchise for the next few years.
Oh, yeah.
With the right and wrong picks. So that being said, we are going to do our annual breakdown of the first 10 picks of the first round and then give you our picks for our teams. And to complement this, as I talked about at the beginning of the show, a voice that we have not heard at the ODPH swung through via email and sent his picks in.
Ooh.
He is your coach. He is my coach. He is the coach. Coach Duffy.
Well, fucking hell, he's not dead.
I know. I thought he was down in Brooklyn celebrating too much. I was trying to find him on some TikTok videos.
I heard he was in Alabama trying to get an autograph from Nick Saban.
Hey. We have heard so many rumors about Coach right now traveling that all of a sudden in the inbox it came in. So that blog is up right now at odphpodcast.com on Parlay Points.
Wait a minute, I just got a photo from him. Holy fuck, he's with John Calipari.
Ooh. Ooh. I need that sent to me. I definitely do. But that being said, we have our picks ready to go for the first round of the NFL draft. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, so this, of course, is taking place April 28th through the 30th. Round 1 takes place this Thursday, April 28th. This is at 8 o'clock Eastern. I know it's going to be on ESPN, ABC, probably a whole bunch of others, NFL Network, a whole bunch of others. Rounds 2 through 3 are Friday, April 29th. Also, that is at 7 o'clock Eastern. And then the last day, rounds 4 through 7 are this coming Saturday, April 30th, and those start at noon Eastern. And just to run down the first 10 teams that have the picks, in case you forgot, and to refresh you, the number 1 overall pick is, of course, held by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 2 are the Detroit Lions. 3 are the Houston Texans. 4 are the New York Jets. 5 are the New York Giants. 6 are the Carolina Panthers. 7 are the New York Giants again. 8 are the who is Atlanta?
What is Atlanta?
The Atlanta Falcons. Number 9 are the Seattle Seahawks. And then rounding out the top 10 picks are the New York Jets once again at number 10. Our collective, or our 2 favorite teams, are the New England Patriots are at the number 21 position, and the flub of the tongue there. The Buffalo Bills are at the 25 pick.
So that said, Jacksonville is back at number 1. Shocker to no one.
I mean, this has got to be rare form, that you get the number 1 overall pick one year, and then the following year you get the number 1 overall pick again. I'm sure it's happened, but I can't remember. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying like staying like the top 5, but like to go back to back number 1 overall picks in consecutive years. Boy, that's got to be rare.
It's definitely rare, but let's face it, Jacksonville has been a shamble of an organization, in our opinion.
Yeah.
They've made some solid picks with the draft, but coaching-wise, whole different ballgame. And obviously, there's a lot of drama about that last season, which you can listen to past episodes to catch up on. But now with that number 1 pick, Pat, who you got Jacksonville taking?
I'm going to say Travon Walker, the defensive end from Georgia. Obviously, they don't really need a quarterback, which you might see at this position. They've already got Trevor Lawrence. I think they need to look at start establishing something on the defensive side of the ball. And I think this is a good place to start it at.
Yeah, I have to say that I think that they're definitely taking an edge here. And I know that Travon Walker has been flying up the draft boards.
Sure.
He kind of came almost out of nowhere. I mean, obviously he's going to be in a top 10 pick, but I think for the number 1 talk, this has been something very sudden. Because a lot of people have been picking Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan.
Sure.
And I thought he was going to go there, but I'm joining you with the Walker pick for Jacksonville. I think that there's got to be some buzz going around that he's just snuck up on the draft boards. He's going to leapfrog that position over Hutchinson.
It's way too much smoke for there to not be fire.
Yeah, something's going on there that if he's all of a sudden buzzing that high up there, there's got to be some truth to it.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. Coach Duffy's pick for number 1, Evan Neal, tackle from Alabama.
Holy fuck, it's not a Notre Dame guy.
No, it's not. I'm actually surprised by this one, but this is his pick live from the draft. So Jacksonville is off the board. But, Pat, who you got for Detroit?
It's a name you mentioned. I've got Aiden Hutchinson, once again, the defensive end for Michigan, going to Detroit. I mean, listen, Detroit needs a fuck ton of help, like including a kitchen sink amount of help, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They gave up a lot of points last year. And, again, you needed somebody to anchor around and start that defense around. And I think Hutchinson can be that guy.
I agree. I think that if Walker is off the board, Hutchinson is going too. It could flip-flop because, I mean, I could see Jacksonville needs a lot on the defensive side of the ball. Their offense, if they can actually get everybody on the field, is not the worst. And Trevor Lawrence, I mean, let's see what he's got. I'm not ready to say crown him he's a bust yet or anything, but he does need a lot of help. They overpaid for Christian Kirk to give him that help. Defense is where they need to go. Detroit is much the same conversation if you really want to break it down.
Sure.
Detroit is still living in the division of Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers to hope to defeat him.
Yeah.
Detroit taking Hutchinson here or Walker would make the most sense. I'm going to say Hutchins too, because
Okay.
I'll go with the pick I did. And I think that could definitely help that organization because they weren't as bad as Jacksonville.
No.
I mean, obviously we know how the records matched up.
It's like a 1A, 1B, but yeah.
But you look at like the games that they were in, and Detroit had a little more upside to them than I think people are giving them credit for. Now, am I saying they're ready to make the playoffs? No, absolutely not. But I think the addition of Hutchinson would do wonders for them completely.
Yeah.
So that being said, we're going to another team. I mean, this is how you know it's the NFL draft, because you're talking about franchises that desperately need some help.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can find anyone in worse shape right now than the Houston Texans.
It's real hard. I'm sure somebody out there can find something, but yikes.
Yeah, it's definitely dicey. Pad, if you're the Houston GM, who are you taking here?
This might be a little bit of a surprise, but I think this is a position they really need to look at. And I think this is an opportunity that you've got a chance to take him now. And if you wait till later when you got another pick, he might not be there. And that is Derek Stingley Jr., the cornerback from LSU. Listen, you look at all the teams down in that, the AFC South division. You know, you obviously the Texans are picking him, but you've got the Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, and Tennessee Titans. Two of those three teams have real good offenses. Jacksonville, maybe. Wait and see. You know, last season, not so much, but this season, night and day, could be a night and day difference. Houston is real bad, and I think if you're going to want to compete with the other teams in that division and just try to make the playoffs, you obviously need to address the defensive side of the ball, and I think the cornerback there would be a good start.
They're definitely going defense with this pick. I mean, they need a lot of help everywhere. So, honestly, if the best player available is there,
Yeah.
take him.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think that Stingley would be a good fit there. I think that it makes a lot of sense for them. Obviously, Houston just needs work, period. And they need to find an identity, too. So, I mean, that's going to be the situation for them moving forward. I'm not in love with any of the quarterbacks in this draft.
No, not am I.
So I would say ordinarily, that might be a place to start. But I'm going to be very honest. I think that they need to build up the defense, almost try copying the Baltimore blueprint, almost to a degree. But there's so much work that needs to be done here. I mean, I think cornerback would be a good place for them to start. Now, oh boy, our friends in the division are up next, and that is those New York Jets. Well, obviously last season did not go their way in many, many facets.
I still love watching that highlight of the Patriots playing them in the Meadowlands.
Oh, my God.
Just saying.
I'm just saying, where do you go? This organization is one that also needs a lot of work, too. So, Pat, that said, if you're the Jets, who are you taking?
It wouldn't surprise me if they trade this pick, just because they've got this one and then they've got another one at 10. But I'm going to go on so I'm going to go with one of two scenarios could happen. They could either trade this one between now and the draft, but if they don't, I think they're going to keep this one because when we play fantasy football and draft, you like the old, if you get the right draft position, you like the old double dip. If you're at the end of the first round or close to the end of the first round, it's real nice to not have to wait all that long where you can go, I can get two real good players back to back. And I think the Jets can almost do something like that here. The Jets need a lot of help, like you mentioned. They maybe have a quarterback in Zach Wilson. Rookie season, not really much to write home about. Sophomore year, wait and see. But if you're going to have him have a good sophomore year, he needs pieces around him. One of the biggest issues he had, sacks and not having any time of day to get a pass off. So I think with that being said, they would be very smart in taking Evan Neal, the offensive tackle from Alabama. There's a lot of wide receivers and there's a lot of running backs, in this class. But I think one of the main needs they need to address is that offensive line, which was god fucking awful.
Yeah. I can see that happening. See, with the Jets, they're in another situation that, where do you go? And what can you do?
Yeah.
Fixing that offensive line would be good if you're fully in on Zach Wilson. Because, they need to address a lot of situations here. But for me, if I'm the Jets, I'm taking the cornerback that I think should go higher, but I think he's kind of fallen down on some draft boards, and it's kind of surprising.
Sure.
That's Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati. I think that he could definitely fill in some much-needed areas for the Jets, especially now with Tyreek Hill in Miami.
Right.
Stephon Diggs just re-upped in Buffalo. you're going to need somebody that can try slowing down an elite receiver. If Gardner is the lockdown guy that everybody keeps touting he is, that's your pick, and you're going to need to. But then again, with the Jets, it's anybody's guess. And I know that they're looking pretty well on those draft picks this year. So
Yeah, that's true.
So they got some wiggle room if they wanted to do something. But it all depends on where they think their biggest need is. But like I say, for me, if I'm the Jets, I'm addressing that defense because I know I can come back in at 10 and go get somebody. Mm-hmm. But that's where we are. Next up, though, those New York Football Giants. Under a new regime, Brian Daboll is your head coach. Have fun with that one.
Yeah.
And this now becomes a situation of what does they want to find as their identity? Mm-hmm. What on the side of the ball, what do they really feel is going to be the best complement for them? Mm-hmm. And is Daniel Jones really your guy? If he's not, what do you do here?
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think any of the quarterbacks in this draft class are better than Danny Dimes.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, but the situation you're going to have is, do you burn a draft pick here this high to help a guy that's not going to be here next year? Or, like, how are you looking at it for your team?
See, I think if I'm the Giants, I do take the draft pick, but not for something on the offensive side of the ball. I think you look on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
Because you look at again, much in the same position the Houston Texans are in, you look at that NFC East, or in this case, the NFC least. Mm-hmm. You know, you've got Dak Prescott in Dallas. He ain't going nowhere. Mm-hmm. You've got, what is it? Wentz is in Washington now. Is that who it is? I think I forget who it is.
Yeah, Carson. Yeah, he's out of Indy.
He's in Washington, and then you've got Philadelphia with their quarterback. I'm blanking on who it is at the moment. I apologize. Mm-hmm. But you've got 3 good quarterbacks, or at least decent quarterbacks in that division. Obviously, you're going to need something on the defensive side of the ball to keep them contained, or try to keep them contained. So I think in this instance, the Giants would take, and I'm going to butcher the shit out of this name, so I apologize. Thibodeau, yeah, the defensive end from Oregon. You know, like I said, need something on the defensive side. Got a lot of good quarterbacks, and I think he'd be able to get to the quarterback real easy.
I think that would be a solid pick for them as well. But I am thinking that Daboll, knowing him as I do in Buffalo, he's going to go offensive line here. And it's not a bad pick to do. And I think he's going to go with a guy that was projected at number 1, but they got him slipping a lot of places, and that's Ike Ekwonu from North Carolina State. He's an offensive tackle. I think that would be a good fit for that team, whether Danny Dimes is going to be there next season or not. It would give Saquon some help getting the ball past the line of scrimmage. You have to do something to build a team up here. And I know with the Giants, they have a lot of work. I mean, obviously, we were talking about they're looking to get rid of last year's number 1 pick. I mean, there's just so much wild nonsense going on with this organization that with the new regime coming in, I think they're going to go back to basics here.
Maybe.
And build that offensive line up first. And then next year, they'll worry about a quarterback and figure out, okay, is Danny Dimes really going to be the guy or not? Mm-hmm. And I think with Daboll, I know they're expecting him to shoot lightning in a bottle again like he did with Josh Allen. I just don't think it's going to happen here.
Not this year.
No, but I think Ekwonu is going to be the guy that can at least solidify that line, and that's a situation they've needed help in for years. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
It's an atrocious line. But now probably the one pick in the first round that I think everybody has really got their eyes on right now.
Yeah.
And that's who, Pat?
That is the number 6 overall pick, which is going to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
I think actually this is where what is it? The Jets are going to make a trade with the Panthers. They're going to move up from 10. They're going to get to 6 because they're going to see cornerback Ahmed Gardner, the cornerback from Cincinnati, because, listen, it's the Jets and reasons.
Yeah, this one, man, I don't know what Carolina is thinking. They are probably the biggest X factor here. And what I mean by this is we're looking at a team that needs a lot of help on the offensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. There has been talk they're willing to move Christian McCaffrey at this stage.
Right.
Which is a little wild, but it is what it is. There has been talk that they are in the Baker Mayfield sweepstakes.
They do need a quarterback.
Which, if you look at their social media of some of their players, they're not exactly too thrilled about that possibility. So I don't know what Carolina is going to do here, but I would say this. If there was going to be a trade in that first round, this is where it happens.
Yeah.
And I fully see them doing something crazy here. I think that this is a situation where if they decide to make a trade for a quarterback somewhere or with a team that's looking to move up, that's going to happen here. Because I think that their quarterback situation, I know that this was projected to be the place where they go get a quarterback. Mm-hmm. I just don't see them doing it.
There's a lot of teams in the top 10 that we mentioned that aren't exactly chomping at the bit that need a quarterback. So you can almost wait.
That's what I would do if I'm them. Like, I don't make any idea to really go here. The one area I would do, like, if I am Carolina, like, I could see that trade happening,
sure,
especially with, like, the Jets who got some picks to move.
Oh, yeah.
Kansas City is in talks, too, which is a little wild.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, you know what? Losing Tyreek Hill definitely got them a little scared.
Yeah.
So I could see them trying to make a jump up, albeit, though, I think it's a little high to go get a wide receiver, but it could happen.
Yeah, it could.
So that's the one situation you got to kind of factor in here, because I think if I'm Carolina, I'm going offensive line, because I think either I'm going to draft a quarterback later or I'm going to go get Baker Mayfield. Either way, I'm not moving that number one pick. I think this is where you go get an offensive line help.
Okay.
And you go get Charles Cross. He's the Mississippi State offensive tackle.
Okay.
So I think that you could definitely do that. So if you can give him some help, much like we talked about with Saquon, I think this would be a situation where Christian McCaffrey, if he's still going to be there, you give him some much-needed help to kind of get some holes made for him to run through. So I think this makes a lot of sense to do. Then all of a sudden, who comes back?
That is the New York Giants, who have the number 7 overall pick via the Chicago Bears. And I think they're going to take an offensive tackle here. I thought about Charles Cross, but I don't think it'll be him. I have Ikwanu going at this position.
I could see that happening too. And I think that would make a lot of sense.
It's either going to be him or Cross, as you mentioned, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State. I think at this point it's just going to be whoever's available.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to read Coach Duffy's pick here on air. You got to go read the blog. This is epic.
Oh, boy.
This is worth the read right here, because obviously nobody knows the New York Football Giants like your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
This is true.
But for me, this is where I think the Giants are going for a name that you mentioned, and that's Kayvon Thibodeau from the defensive end from Oregon. This is where I think they go get him. Obviously, because in my draft, I had them going to get obviously some help on the offensive side earlier. I think that this is where they go for the defensive here, and I think that he's going to slip down here to go get.
Okay.
It's a solid move, I think, for him, and especially it doesn't break their bank, and especially for Dabble, if he's really going to build this team, you need to get some pressure on the Dak Prescotts of this division. I think your other two quarterbacks you don't got to worry about, but Dallas is your benchmark right now. You need to slow them down. So if you can slow them down, you got a chance to win that division. And I think with defensive end like Thibodeau, this is the way to do it. So that's my pick for them. Interesting, though, with Coach Duffy. He's got some crazy scenarios.
Oh, boy.
I'm just going to say, he definitely is. I don't want to say reaching, but I'm reading this, I'm going.
It's coaching the Giants. Of course he's reaching.
Oh, yeah, he's going some places here. Because, he's got trades all over the place.
Lord have mercy.
I'll do an early spoiler. But it's a great read, so odphpodcast.com for that. Now, we get to a team that I think you and I will agree on the position.
They're a mess.
They're a hot mess, but I think we will say right now the position is a lock. Mm-hmm. If there's anything we could say safe about this draft, this is going to be a lock position. Mm-hmm. And, Ped, who is it?
Well, it's the Atlanta Falcons drafting at the number 8 position, and I think they're going to take a wide receiver.
Facts.
And I think it's going to be Drake London, the wide receiver from USC. Listen, Atlanta fucking sucks. Apologies to the Falcons fans because we broke you and haven't made you humble since you blew that 25-point lead in the Super Bowl. Gone is Matty Ice. Marcus Mariota is your starter. I think he's going to be the starter for this year because, as I've said, none of the quarterbacks in this year's draft class really impressed me. So he's not the guy to get you over the hump and get you to the promised land in the Super Bowl. He's just the guy to build the bridge to get you to the next guy. So I don't think they're going to be taking a quarterback. They might take a running back here, but you got Cordell Patterson as one of your running backs. So, you might get something later and have him fill in. But, I'm looking at this wide receiver core. I can't pronounce half of the names. I've heard of none of them, outside of Calvin Ridley, and, well, he's got his own issues.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't chuck the ball to Kyle Pitts all damn day.
Yeah.
You can't have Cordell Patterson catch the balls and run the balls all damn day. You need somebody to throw the ball to, and I think it's going to end up being the wide receiver from USC.
Who is Atlanta's pick? What is Atlanta's pick? Atlanta's pick is a clean sweep across the whole ODPH panel. We all had Drake London going from USC.
Okay.
And I think he's the number one wide receiver in this draft. And I think that this makes a lot of sense, obviously, for the points you touched upon. Calvin Ridley's gone. And there is literally nobody else on that team that scares you on the offensive side of the ball. Mariota is a gap filler.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So to get him somebody that at least will look competitive this season, I mean, the season's a wash, let's face it.
Pretty much.
They might be the number one pick next year.
Hey.
I know we'll talk picks and predictions for that when we talk our NFL preview way down the road, but I'm saying right now, my gut pick, Atlanta is going to be the number one next year. But this will be a nice addition for him, so if you're looking for a fantasy sleeper, this would be the guy I would go take right now. Just putting it out there. Let's see what happens. Next up, though, at lucky number 9.
Yeah, that is the Seattle Seahawks, who got this pick from the Denver Broncos in the trade for Russell Wilson. So I think with this one, they're going to take an offensive tackle because, hey, that offensive line has not been great for a lot of years, even when Russell Wilson was there. Mm-hmm. So I think in this instance, they are going to take Charles Cross, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State.
I could see that happening. Mm-hmm. I could. I actually had Evan Neal falling down my board on my picks. So I had Neal going here at number 9.
All right.
So I think that they just need help across the board.
They do. You got DK Metcalf, who, not bad. But
no.
Outside that, you need a lot.
You definitely do. I mean, there's no real right or wrong answer here. But I think for Seattle, if they are smart, this is where you start rebuilding your offensive line. And that's why I say, like, this is a great draft class for offensive tackles.
Yeah.
So you really can't go too wrong here. But this is a situation that for a team that you gave up your franchise quarterback about, you definitely need some help here. And I think that this would be the smart play to do. But in that division, too, you got to deal with a lot of high-powered offenses as well. Mm-hmm. So if they went defense for this pick, I wouldn't be super shocked.
No.
But I'm thinking if they want to look like somewhat competitive for next season, you got to go offensive line here. And that's why I said. And I had Neal losing on my pick here down the boards. I know like everybody had him really high. And I'm like, I think the other ones are really ranking just a little higher for me personally. But we'll kind of have to wait to see when they get on the field. And then rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be the New York Jets, but in the way I've got it going, it's gone to the Carolina Panthers. And I think they're going to go with Kenny Pickett, the quarterback from Pittsburgh, because, hey, let's face it, Sam Darnold is not good. He's afraid of ghosts, allegedly. Mm-hmm. And the other guy that got their second string is P.J. Walker. Neither one of those exactly scare me. So I think they're going to, listen, they need a quarterback desperately. Sam Darnold just ain't the guy. He's a guy to have there in case of injury, but I think they're going to take a flyer here on Pickett and draft him at this position.
Wow, that's a bold pick, bold one. I'm going to say this. I think the Jets keep this pick, and unless they get wowed by somebody, I think they're going to have to. And I think that this is where they could go with some offensive help for Zach Wilson, and I think this is where they go get Garrett Wilson from Ohio State.
All right.
I think that it would make a lot of sense for them to go this route. I think if you're going to really try giving some kind of offensive dynamic, I know I said their first pick, I had him going on defense, but you still got to give Zach Wilson somebody to get the ball to.
This is true.
So Wilson seems like he would be a solid pick here for them. And, I mean, honestly, with the Jets, I could see them trading out too. I know everybody keeps talking about Carolina and getting back in there and such, but I just don't see it happening. Like, for me, I think that they have enough issues going on right now that unless they got really wowed by somebody that was trying to move up,
right?
I can't see it. And the same thing with the Jets. Like I said, both of those picks are the ones really to keep an eye on because everybody is so laser focused on what they're going to do, especially with the Jets with 2 picks in the first top 10. I mean, that's a big move for them, and I think that they would be smart to utilize them. I know there really isn't a lot of sizzle players, so to speak, this year.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we didn't open with this segment for the beginning of the show because unlike years past, this has been a very quiet draft.
Uh-huh.
Like you really...
There's really no bona fide studs. You're like, oh my God, this guy's going to go here and it's going to be amazing.
Right. Everybody else is going to be solid, but this is one of those years that I don't think you have a game changer on this kind of level. I don't think you do. But I could be proved wrong. I mean, that's one situation with the draft is you'll find those diamonds in the rough as you go into the later rounds. That's where everybody really does their drafts. So that's why I say second and third rounds is where you really find somebody. Or when was Tom Brady drafted, Pat?
6th round at 199 overall.
Yes. So as long as you're smart with your picks, you can definitely do some damage there. So before we wrap this segment up, we got to give you our picks for our team. So, Pat, you're picking at number 21 for the Patriots. Who are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's going to be Andrew Booth Jr., the cornerback from Clemson. I mean, listen, we got a big hole to fill at cornerback with J.C. Jackson gone for a a yacht load of cash. And I think, obviously, that's obviously a need position we need addressed. Weren't able to quite do it in free agency. So I think Andrew Booth Jr. would be a good addition from Clemson to hopefully live up to the expectations we have with cornerbacks the last couple of years.
I could see that happening. I don't think that's a bad pick at all. The Bills are picking at number 25, and no, we are not taking a quarterback. This is going to be an interesting position for them to go get because I think every Bills fan I know has been screaming running back.
I've had some thoughts about it, yeah.
Yeah, and I could see that happening. And listen, unless there's a diamond in the rough that they want to go with, you can try doing that. I know there has been some wild talk, and I mean wild talk. They're going to trade for Christian McCaffrey, give him the number 1 pick straight up here at 25.
Jesus Christ!
I've heard some speculation.
I've heard it takes more than that to get McCaffrey.
I was just saying that this
like you got to sell your soul amount of capital.
Carolina's funny, man. Like they're an interesting team right now because they're in such flux about what they're doing, and obviously, if the deal is to go get Baker Mayfield out of Cleveland, they're going to give up a decent amount. Not saying crazy, but they're going to give up a decent amount for him. So this could be a situation that the Bills fleece him a little bit. I don't think, though, it's going to happen. I really don't. I mean, I'd be ecstatic if they got Christian McCaffrey, but I don't think.
Right. I don't think that. That's a fever dream.
I know. That's shooting for the moon right there. But I think where they're going to really take a look at is in the cornerback position.
Okay.
And I know the Bills have usually gone this route. And I think that, obviously, last year's playoff game, which still, I understand we changed the playoff rules about overtime. We didn't need to. The Bills lost that one outright. I've accepted it. Everybody else should too. This is a situation that they need to go get a cornerback and give some help to Tre'Davious White. You have to go get somebody, especially now with Tyreek Hill in the AFC East. I'm not saying Tua is going to be the second coming of Dan Marino down there. I know that here reloaded, and suddenly that's become the hot topic suddenly he's now going to find it and put it together.
Oh, boy.
I mean, listen, I know there's a lot of speculation about that, especially with a wide receiver that's already challenged to race the rest of his teammates.
Kool-Aid strong down in Miami.
Yeah, like I say, it's crazy what's going on there. But I do like the name that I've kind of seen circulated in a couple mock drafts, and that's Trent McDuffie from Washington.
Okay.
So this would be a situation, if they decided to go there, I'm completely fine with it. If they got to go get a running back, just be smart about it. Because obviously we took a shot with Zach Moss. The experiment has not worked. Singletary is not the every down back that everybody thought he could possibly be. He's more like a Darren Sproles, in my opinion. This is a situation where the Bills will be smart about it, and especially, I don't doubt them even trading out.
Sure.
Giving up the pick to go somewhere, to go second round. This is because there's not really anybody that they need to go get per se. They traded, they signed Von Miller in the offseason. Stephon got re-upped, so I'm happy with the moves now, so I can breathe easy. They don't need a lot.
No.
So the running back position would make a lot of sense, but I honestly think it's cornerback. I think that would be the smarter play for them to do. I think if they try going anything else, I mean, they could always try going defensive end. I mean, this draft is very loaded at that position as well, too.
True.
Or try going offensive line. I mean, whatever help you can kind of do in those three positions, I think is good. But I think at the end of the day, cornerback is the one that would jump out to me a little bit more, especially nothing against Tre'Davious, but he's coming back from a very, very bad knee injury. So we got to kind of see where he's going to be at. So cornerback would be where I am leading on this. There are so many storylines going on with this, too, especially where are the quarterbacks going to fall?
Very far.
Yeah, I know everybody's high on this Pickett kid from Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, when I see him, I see Mitchell Trubisky.
Sure.
One that is the prototype, the build, everything like that. But Pickett is just not screaming at me first-round pick.
Yeah.
Like, I think his safest bet would be to actually go to Pittsburgh. I'll put it out there right now. I think Pittsburgh will draft a quarterback here and sit behind Trubisky for a year.
Probably.
And that's the smart move. Because, I'm sorry, I'm not sold on him. I'm sorry. Pickett's just not moving the needle for me. And I know the kid from Liberty, too, a lot of people are big on.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that's not really screaming like draft right there, like franchise guy. But that's the beauty of the draft, though, too, is we get proved wrong a lot. And to see what everybody else kind of shapes up to, it's going to be a fun 3 days if you're an NFL fan.
I'm also going to go out on a limb. Shocker of all shockers, Green Bay will take an offensive player in the first round that is not a quarterback.
Does offensive line count?
No.
Okay. Ooh, that's a bold prediction.
They're gonna take some sort of like running back, tight end, wide receiver. They're gonna take something.
It would be smart to do. I really like them getting the wide receiver from Alabama there,
All right.
Williams.
Okay.
I think that would be a smart move if they could do it, but there's rumor that Kansas City is trying to get some movement up there as well, too. So this is one thing about the draft. I think you're going to see a lot more movement than the years past. I think that a lot of teams really are just going to look to fill in some spots. I don't think there is really, like I said previously, there's not that sizzle player out there that's going to like reshape the franchise. I think the teams like Jacksonville and Detroit can definitely make some moves. I think Detroit actually is in a prime position to really do something, but to what extent we don't know. But like we said, this is all going to go down Thursday night for round 1 on ESPN, NFL Network, ABC, social media. So make sure you're following at OD Parlay Hour, at Coach Duffy 11. Be live tweeting about that as well. A lot of good storylines coming out of this year's NFL draft. But, we gave you our takes. Now we want to hear yours, ODPH Society. Hit us up. Let us know. How's your team looking? What are you looking for in the NFL draft this year? Let's talk about it, shall we? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Coming to you live from whatever podcast you're currently listening to, it's your boy Jay West with my co-host Mac East from the We Get Dub podcast.
What up, nerds? It's me, Mac East, and we got a badass anime podcast for you. We got hot sauce, we got hot takes, we got booze and banter.
And you can listen to us on all major platforms.
The We Get Dub podcast hits harder than a Goku gut punch.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Time to talk some pro wrestling.
Such good shit.
Let's do it, because the talk of the wrestling world in the past 24 hours has been Monday Night Raw, if you believe. Mm-hmm. And, Pat, why is that?
You had a couple of returns, some kind of leaked out, one not really leaked out, at least from what I saw, and it's definitely got some people excited.
Yeah, this past Monday Night Raw, we had the return of a couple fan favorites.
Yeah.
One was leaked out, we kind of were waiting on, but one was a big surprise.
Especially given the circumstances.
Yes. So during Monday Night Raw, we had Becky Lynch make her return after WrestleMania. It was kind of a big to-do, and obviously coming out there and cut a very quick promo.
Handling the loss at WrestleMania wonderfully.
Yes.
She's in a sound state of mind.
Oh, yes, she is. She's definitely living up to the quote-unquote big-time specs gimmick. And then, lo and behold, who makes her triumphant return?
The Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka.
Yes, to a rousing ovation by the Knoxville crowd. And she came in there and kind of basically challenged Becky. And I know Becky has been having some fun on social media, too, because obviously the last time they saw each other.
I handed this bitch my title.
Yep. Becky handed the title to Asuka when Becky found out she was pregnant. So they have a very unique storyline going. It's going to be a fun feud to lead into the summertime. Awesome to see Asuka back.
Absolutely.
Because it's been a while. I know it was kind of rumored, like, when is she coming back? One of the biggest forces in the WWE's women's division. Awesome. It's super exciting to see her back. She's one of the most entertaining wrestlers out there today. But she wasn't the only one that came back, because we got a big surprise.
Yeah, so during one segment on the show, you had Miz doing Miz TV with Theory, as he's being called now. Why they dropped the Austin name, I have no idea.
Yeah, they're doing it with everybody, though. They get in
dumb.
these weird situations where they drop everybody's first name.
The only one they've done it for that I can at least, like, make sense in my head is Ciampa. Tommaso, they dropped Tommaso Ciampa. They're just calling him Ciampa now. But I'm like, okay. Most everyone was already just calling him Ciampa anyway. Like, That one I can at least understand. Just calling him Theory, now I have no goddamn idea. If you're going to call him Theory, make sure he gets ring gear that just says Theory and doesn't have AT on it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but
Yeah.
wrestling, so it's always reasons.
But you had Theory on Miz TV getting interviewed by Miz, and Miz and him talking, and out came one Mustafa Ali. Not Ali, Mustafa Ali, back after a long hiatus and a tumultuous hiatus, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You can go through the social media posts and the news posts. We're not going to get into the whole thing. He had his issues. He had his beefs. Didn't want to do the Royal Rumble, and there's a whole long thing with it. But he came back, had a match with The Miz. Says he wants to challenge Theory for the United States Championship, but there was another potential angle set up that I am far more excited for. And that is after he had his match with Miz on TV last night, where he picked up the win. He was walking back up the ramp and heading back towards gorilla position or behind the big screen. And he got jumped by somebody who's not exactly, unknown to jump people from time to time, especially when he has a crutch in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have a crutch this time, but he still jumped Ali, and that is Tommaso Ciampa.
Yes.
Give this to me now.
This is perfect. Okay, first off, to see Ali back on TV is awesome.
Yeah.
Back as a face, where I think he's better suited than he was a heel.
Yes.
Because I know when we last saw him on WWE TV, he was coming off the retribution angle.
Which was bad.
Yeah, which, I mean, he made the most of it happen as he could, and then obviously got very disgruntled about the direction his character was going in, and outright asked for his release. And we haven't seen him on TV since.
It's been a while.
No, there's been social media. I know that.
There's a Free Ali movement.
Yeah, that was big, especially with the AEW crowd, because they were very vocal about it. And I just hope that now that he's back on TV, they show their support. I saw a tweet about that. I actually retweeted.
I agree with it.
And I'm fully supporting that. Like, if you were saying Free Ali, you better be behind him and getting on social media promoting him too. He's a fantastic talent. So to see him thrown into this, and especially this was a high profile. And one thing that they did with this segment too, they didn't shy away from explaining and talking about we haven't seen you on TV in a while.
Yeah, so he comes out, and the first thing, that comes out is Miz brings it up. Do you even still work here? And then, Ali goes to talk again. And this time Theory covers the mic. He goes, wait a minute, aren't you the guy that took his ball and went home?
Mm-hmm.
There was 3 instances they brought it up. They did not shy away.
No, they didn't. And you know what? I thought they played it perfectly. Under the circumstance, I mean, it was messy. There's no way to sugarcoat it.
No.
It was a messy situation going on there. But they played it up well to fans that maybe they didn't really understand what was going on too. And to see now that he's paired with Tommaso Ciampa, who I know it came out that Vince wanted to flip the roles of a few wrestlers.
Sure.
That they were faces, now he's going to make them heels are going to become faces. He just says it kind of fits better. And you know what? In this situation, I think it works well. Tommaso Ciampa is one of the best heels in the business. And if you have any doubt of that, you should just watch his feud with Johnny Gargano.
Christ, I hated the man.
Yeah. He played it up perfectly. At one point, he didn't even have theme music. He just came out to a sea of booze. And it was one of the perfect entrances I've ever seen.
He was coming out with more heat than Roman came out with after he beat Undertaker at Mania.
It was wild. But they played it so well. And he really sunk his teeth into it because that is how he is as a character. And it works on so many levels. The fact you're going to give those two some time to work a program, I hope it's not a one and done. I really want to see this built into like a pay-per-view match. Let them get the time. It'll definitely help both of them get over. And then if you're going to do the program with Ali in Theory, that works too.
Sure.
It could work for all 3 of them if they really want to take it back to where you had multiple contenders for a mid-card title.
Sure.
We haven't done that in a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while since you kind of had flip-flopping for feuds. Even if they do a triple threat, I think it would work perfectly.
Oh, absolutely.
They handle these situations very, very well. And I got to say, Raw has been slowly improving from what I've been able to see.
It's not bad.
It's not
great, but it's not bad.
It's not great. And even when they took the time out to do the Randy Orton 20-year celebration.
Because I think it was 20 years to the day, if I'm not mistaken.
That Randy Orton debuted on WWE programming.
Yeah.
How crazy is it to think, Pat? And I know you're more of a recent wrestling fan compared to like myself or Rich from 3FN. To see that 20 years has gone by and see the evolution of that character and and him. And the one thing that he was thanking a lot of people in the ring, put over Mick Foley, put over Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Ric Flair. But the one thing that it stuck out to me, and I know you watch more Raw than I do.
Sure.
He said about how much fun he's having.
Oh yeah, and especially he said on multiple occasions that his partnership and his tag teaming with Riddle has really reinvigorated him, and he's having the most fun he's had in years.
And you know what? It shows on him too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that's the one thing that people don't realize. For me, for being 20 years, and when he came in right around the same time as John Cena. That was part of the legendary OVW class.
Oh yeah.
And Randy, I mean, the beginning of his years, he was having a lot of injury issues. They were, in fact, even made fun of it at one point with the RNN.
Yeah.
Which was one of the most brilliant angles I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
He's like, Randy, how's the shoulder? It's 82.4%. Somebody hits it. He's like, now it's back at the 80.6%. Like, he would just do fun stuff like that. Like, he's got great comedic timing.
Oh, yeah.
But once he got with Evolution and then became the legend killer, especially with Mick Foley, as he touched upon in that program, he really found his footing and he really started evolving.
Oh, yeah.
And he really took the ball and ran with it. And now he's been a mainstay main eventer for years with that company. And he's always somebody that you can put into a program and he can definitely get somebody over. He can definitely work with somebody. And I always thought it was very touching to see the social media outpour for it, especially like with Miz and John Cena and like everybody, because he's really come a long way from his early years in the company. And to see now him being a face of the company and being somebody that you're seeing a lot of the younger wrestlers look up to.
He's arguably, without looking at the entire roster, probably the most tenured guy in that locker room right now.
Close to, I would say, yeah.
I mean, Rey Mysterio might come close.
Ray's up there.
Ray's up there.
Dolph is up there.
Yeah, he's up there. But I think in terms of being around with WWE,
20 years, you can't really beat that.
I think Ray's the only one that comes close.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think who's been there long term, because obviously they've had a lot of turnover in wrestling. I mean,
sure,
it is a business at the end of the day, so people come and go. But to see Randy be there so consistently, and then, like I say, when he got with Evolution, he really soaked in all that information.
Oh, yeah.
Being around Triple H and Ric Flair all the time.
Oh, yeah.
That definitely will help a wrestler figure out. And, just to be around and seeing how he evolved from that. And when he got his first world title and to see where he's gone there and the legendary programs he's had with people since. It's truly an astonishment in this day and age that you see somebody stay with a company like that. And especially in the pro wrestling business, because it doesn't happen often.
No.
You see a lot of people jump ship. Not to say he was never thought about leaving WWE. Obviously, we've heard the rumors of when AEW was first starting and his contract was up. And, Randy did the smart play of negotiating. So it plays out from there. But to see him on Monday Night Raw and really exemplify how much fun he's having.
Oh, God,
and I think you're kind of seeing that affect that roster, too.
Sure.
Because I know that we've always heard about the downsides of the business, obviously, the releases and such.
Yeah, the miles and the time and all that, yeah.
But when you're seeing somebody like Randy have that fun, and you can see everybody else in the ring having it with him.
Yeah.
And just how he's also gone into this weird promo style where he just doesn't care.
Nope.
And he's just saying whatever is popping in his head.
Yep.
To see how he's doing those subtle reinventions, like we always talk about how Chris Jericho does that.
Yeah.
Where Chris Jericho can take any gimmick and just get it over somehow that he's come up with for years. To see Randy do those small little changes and yet still get it over, it's truly astonishing. But what a feather in the cap to WWE for this.
Oh, absolutely. And a feather to Randy just for, and like you said, it's a business where there's a lot of turnover, and there's also a lot of instances where guys get injured and that just ends a career, and for a guy who was injury plagued at the start of his career to have a long and successful career, to still be around and still be able to do it and still be able to go. There's a lot of guys that you reach his age, the wear and tear starts showing up. You start losing a little giddy up in the step. You can't quite do the moves as well as you used to, and it's starting to show him. No evidence of that.
No, he's definitely still looking like he can go. He's even talked about going until he's 50.
I believe it.
Which, I mean, at this stage, if he's having fun and that body can hold up, sure, why not? He's not getting asked to do any crazy ladder spots. He's not getting asked to do any Texas death matches for 3 months straight. He's getting his chance to really spread his wings, and especially he can help out somebody like Riddle, who, I mean, let's face it, when he came up, he was a little ruffling of some feathers with some of the talent up there, too. So, I mean, to see them kind of pairing off, and if Riddle's smart, he's learning a lot from Randy and just kind of taking that and going with it from there, too. It's a lot of win going on with Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
It's weird to say because the show has been so lackluster
for a while.
But the recent string of shows they've had since Mania has really been, something. Even a little before Mania, they were starting to kind of steer the ship around.
Yeah.
I mean, they started teasing with the Edge Faction 2,
Yep.
which is now Judgment Day, which, if you're into your wrestling history, obviously a former pay-per-view name, so who knows what that's going to be. But it's still those little subtle things they're doing with Raw that I think that kind of falls through the cracks a lot.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about SmackDown, and SmackDown's the A show. I mean, there's no question of that.
2 million every week.
And they do that in their sleep.
Yeah.
When Roman Reigns can retain an NFL audience after a show, that's all you need to know about how much of an A show that is. But to see that Monday Night Raw with Cody Rhodes now as the face of Monday Night Raw, and that's the smart play too, is now picking up the steps. Pat, I mean, how you feeling each week watching now?
I mean, I'm catching it when I can. I'm not watching bell to bell, but I'm enjoying it what I see more than I did, because there was a time where I stuck through and I watched a lot of shit, and it was a lot of bad. But I'm liking what I see. You've got the stuff going on with all the stuff we mentioned. You got the stuff going on with Ezekiel. Is he Ezekiel? Is he Elias?
The tassels killed me, man. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, the Ultimate Warrior look, holy shit! But everything going on, I didn't when he debuted on the night after Monday or WrestleMania.
Mania.
I was like, what the fuck is this? Why are we doing this? This makes no goddamn sense. But then they started the angle with Kevin Owens in the story, and he's convinced it's not Ezekiel, it's Elias, and he's the only one who can see it, and nobody else sees it. Nobody else believes him. He even got Sami Zayn involved on Twitter a week or two ago and goes, look at this, and Sami goes, yeah, I think you got a case here, but he's Ezekiel. So even Sami Zayn's not buying. Oh, I love every minute of that story. When, like I said, at the start of it, I didn't think I'd give two shits, but it's one of the best stories they've got going.
Well, the thing is, and I think this kind of goes back to where I'll close with this segment, Raw is starting to have fun again. And you're seeing it with the wrestlers. That we haven't seen this in a while.
No.
That usually it's been, a state of like just flux. I mean, that's kind of the easiest way I can describe it.
Sure.
That now you're seeing like Kevin Owens is completely hamming it up and really sinking his teeth into a storyline. It on paper is so stupid, but yet it works.
Yep.
And is really kind of running with it. That now it's become a very entertaining segment. And the fact that he's now got the Alpha Academy involved in it, I'm here for it, because I think Chad Gable's been long overlooked.
Oh yeah.
On that roster. But to see like how that's going, and see obviously with Cody Rhodes coming there, and obviously he did bring a fan base with him. Not saying the ratings are exploding with the show, but there are AEW fans that are tuning in to see him, and to see how he's running and see how he's happy. I mean, granted, he just got paid, so I mean, I can understand why. But to see how he now has a little more energy in him going into these matches.
Oh yeah,
and then to see how Randy Orton now has really reinvented himself, and he's now having fun. And the fact that he publicly came out and said it, I thought was very, very telling, because Randy has never really opened up like this. Like, I mean, he's always been Randy. He's always been, the stories have always been out, about Randy just being kind of very serious and, just not as enjoying this as much as people thought he was. But to see how he's just really embraced it and is running with it, I think is just so much of a feather in the cap for WWE. If you're a longtime fan, Raw might be worth tuning back in here and there to catch up on. Not saying it's a perfect show by any means.
Even Tyler from 30 and Nerdy, who was at the show Raw last night, said, he was in the attendance. He said, listen, it was a great show. It wasn't perfect, by any means, but no show is.
No show is. No show ever is. I know that we get very critical when we do our reviews of AEW on 607 TWS.
Sure.
There is bright moments in each wrestling organization. Are there bad ones? Sure. Not every match is a 5-star match, or 7 dumpsters, or 10 rings, or whatever your counting is.
Yeah.
But to see that a roster is actually excited, and you can kind of tell by the body language. I mean, sure, they're going out in character and they're doing their thing, but to see how it's reflected and see how the audience is really buying into it as well, that's the key right then and there. And to see when the debuts came back, everybody was super excited to come back. You can even see Ali was coming back. From all the crap that he went through during his time away.
Smile on his face.
Smile on his face. Happy to be a face in the organization again.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they really let him run with the U.S. title. I really would hope we see that at some point. He's way talented. He's got to get that time. And I think that, with certain wrestlers, their natural faces are natural heels.
Sure.
He's a natural face. He always has been. But to see how he's back and Asuka's back, WWE is reloading for the summer. Not saying they're going to take over and, do all these epic shows, but I think they're taking the steps in the right direction that for fans that tuned out, you're given small pieces of incentive to tune back in.
And I think they're also building to something big when it comes to SummerSlam, because that's obviously the next major big. There's obviously pay-per-views between now and then, but the next big one. Finn Balor's obviously been in a feud with Damian Priest, who's in Edge's faction. Who did Edge face at WrestleMania?
Oh.
AJ Styles. I think what they might be setting up for down the road at SummerSlam, Edge and Damian Priest versus Finn Balor and AJ Styles.
Give it to me.
Oh my God. If they don't get to that point, I'm going to throw something.
The only thing that might throw that off, but let me word it like this. I know it was announced about the AEW versus NJPW show coming in June.
Yeah.
Depending on what time frame they do that. If they want to hold it off till SummerSlam, I think it'd be good because it'd be in August.
Sure.
Because I think if they did it too close to that, the Bullet Club references,
yeah.
I think it would take away from that match.
Yeah.
But I'm on board with that match, though. I hope that does happen. And, if they could come out to some Bullet Club stuff, that'd be awesome, too. Either way, Monday Night Raw might be worth tuning in. Definitely hit up Tyler from 30 and Nerdy if you want a little more recap about Monday Night Raw. Hit up Pad because he's always watching Monday Night Raw as well.
Yeah, Randy Orton also opening up. Just found out he plays Elden Ring. What the fuck?
2022, man.
Uh-huh.
It's a wild year.
Uh-huh.
It's wild and it's getting even crazier, too. And if you want even more pro wrestling talk, make sure to tune in to 607 TWS and Blogs Count Anywhere on ODPHpodcast.com on the Parlay Points. A lot of stuff going on. We like to talk some wrestling. Now we want to talk to you about some wrestling after the show. So definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod. Monday Night Raw, AEW, indie scene. Let's talk about it, shall we? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sideroom Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna go.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH Podcast. Pat, what you got?
Got to talk a little local minute. Let's talk some Binghamton Black Bears hockey. And unfortunately, the Binghamton Black Bears season has come to an end. They did make it into the playoffs, and they had a best-of-3 game series against Danbury. They took the first game by the final score of 5-4. This was on April 18th. This was at home at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. The following 2 games were in Danbury. They did, I should note, win the first game in overtime. And then they lost the remaining 2 games by the final score of 5-4 in overtime, and then 5-3. So Binghamton is eliminated from the playoffs, and they are off for season until October, November, whenever it is. So hey, not a great way to have the playoffs, but hey, first year, not bad.
First year, and we did not get the chance to go to any games.
Life was busy.
Life has been busy for the podcast. But I will say this. I have heard nothing but positive comments coming about the league and how the Black Bears have really tried making it very accessible to come down for games. They've really gone out of their way to really make a big deal of coming to the arena, and they've really been pushing it. And I do like that. I really respect that. I think that that's something the arena definitely needs, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So the fact that they did that is great, and then we just got to kind of wait to see what happens in the off season here. I mean, there's so much talk in the off seasons. There's rumors if you want to drink the Kool-Aid about it, but as long as we have some kind of hockey in here, this is Hockey County at the end of the day.
Very true.
We'll be talking about the playoffs in the NHL next week, but it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. So kudos on the first year.
Yeah, and then we got to talk some Binghamton Rumble Ponies news because the season has started. Looking at their set of games, looking at the standings, I should say, they're currently in 4th place of the Eastern League in the AA minor league baseball. You've got the Portland Sea Dogs, who are the AA affiliate of the Boston Red Sox. They're in 1st place at 9-6. Somerset, which is the affiliate of the New York Yankees, tied with them in 1st place, also at 9-6. New Hampshire, who is affiliated with the Toronto Blue Jays, in 3rd at 8-7. You've got the Hartford, which is affiliated with the Colorado Rockies. They are 7-8. Binghamton, who of course is affiliated with the New York Mets, are 4-10. And then you've got Reading, who are affiliated with the, shouldn't surprise you, it's in Philadelphia, it's in Pennsylvania. They're affiliated with the Phillies. They are 4-11. So looking at their games they had from this past week, they had they closed out their series against Bowie on Sunday the 17th with a 9-6 win. That was Rowdy's extravaganza because of course it was Easter. They then came back with a 6 game series against the Portland Sea Dogs. They lost their game on Tuesday, final score of 5-6. Won their next game 6-1. Got blown out in their game on Thursday, the 21st, 12-5. Lost on Friday, 3-2. Lost again on Saturday, 4-3. And then got blown out on Sunday, 13-5. Yikes!
Yay!
That was all on the Portland series was on the road. They do return home for a series against Erie. That starts on Tuesday. Game time 6:35. All of the games up through Saturday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all are at 6:35 Eastern. The game on Saturday is at 1:05 Eastern. We should note that. Should note also, it appears this coming Friday is going to be College Color Wars. And then Saturday is Sweet Treat Saturday. So something tells me there's going to be some good sweet goodies down at the ballpark on Saturday. More information, tickets, and all that good stuff, bingrp.com.
Very cool seeing baseball back.
Yeah, absolutely. And then got to talk some UFC because we do have a UFC on ESPN card taking place this Saturday, April 30th from the Apex. Starts at 8 o'clock Eastern. Prelims are at 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Plus in ESPN2. Main card is on ESPN Plus and ESPN. Got to talk the two main fights in the co-main event. In the heavyweight division, you have Andre Arlovsky taking on Jake Collier.
Still blows my mind Arlovsky's fighting at this stage of the game.
The Ageless Wonder.
God bless him. I'm just hoping he's not getting too much damage in this one. Collier, I would take in this, but every time I go against Arlovsky, he pulls something out from somewhere.
This is true.
So I'm going to go with Collier. This should be a pretty short fight, but Arlovsky likes proving me wrong. So
we'll Arlovsky, the Ageless Wonder. And then in the main event, in the bantamweight division, you have Rob Font taking on Marlon Vera.
This is going to be a fun fight. This is going to be the reason you tune in. And I think both of these guys really got some title shot implications going on with this, depending on how things pan out. Obviously, we know Aljamain Sterling is bantamweight champion. This is a perfect time for somebody to make some noise and get up here. Vera is no slouch. I know he kind of gets forgotten about a lot of times. Rob Font's always a contender, always in the top 5, top 10 talk.
Sure.
So this is going to be some fireworks. I fully feel this. I am going to go with Vera in the upset. I think that Vera is going to just give him a little too much pressure, get his striking going on a little bit, and I think that he's going to give Font some fits at the beginning, that he's going to win those early rounds. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a close fight. I could see this going decision.
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm going to say Vera's in the upset, though.
I'm going to say Vera as well.
That's going to be my final pick for that.
And then we have some breaking news.
Ooh!
Yeah, so it has been announced by the NCAA that President Mark Emmert will be stepping down when his replacement is selected and in place, or on June 30th, 2023. The NCAA announced as we record. So Emmert put out a press release that reads as, quote, throughout my tenure, I've emphasized the need to focus on the experience and priorities of student athletes. I am extremely proud of the work of the association over the last 12 years, and especially pleased with the hard work and dedication of the national office staff here in Indianapolis. He went on to say, with the significant transitions underway within college sports, the timing of this decision provides the association with consistent leadership during the coming months, plus the opportunity to consider what will be the future role of the president. So, yeah, we're going to have a new NCAA president here within the next year.
Crazy times, man.
Yeah.
Definitely a little wild to see. For my little bases, more MMA talk.
Okay.
So it was announced that Chris Cyborg, after she retained her Bellator women's featherweight title in a very, very one-sided fight, she is now going to be looking to be a free agent this summer.
Ooh.
So the question goes, where is Cyborg going to be heading? So this is going to be a situation that I think the UFC could be very smart about, and book her at least for one fight.
Yeah.
Give us the Nunez rematch. I think that has to be what is going to be the case.
Yeah, I think that's about all the UFC has going for it, because I know she did an interview where she was asked about it over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And that one of the issues she brought up is she was essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, she goes, yeah, I could, but like, you've got everybody fighting up in a higher weight class than I am. It'd be the same situation she was in before. You'd have to bring people down to her.
Yeah. So I think if she's going to do anything there, I think that would make a lot of sense. I know that she could always re-up with Bellator. I mean, that could always happen.
Yeah.
It just really depends on what she's looking to do. So, like I said, but as it's reported here on ESPN.com, that, yeah, she has said that she will be a free agent this summer, to quote. So I could see that happening, and I think UFC would be foolish not to book that fight. I will say this, though. There was an idea that popped in my head.
Okay.
I think that another alternative route, and hear me out when I say this.
Yeah, sure.
I think she should go to AEW.
Maybe.
Here's the reason why. I think that Cyborg has done pretty much everything she can do in the world of MMA, other than have that rematch with Nunez. I mean, sure, you could fight a couple other fighters here and there, depending on what organization you want to go to, sure. But I could see her making that transition over to pro wrestling. And I think for AEW, not WWE, because I think in WWE, listen, there's only one fight they'll make, and I can already tell you the outcome is Ronda wins.
Yeah.
If you put her over in AEW, and you kind of do like a Jake Hager deal, where he could fight on MMA on the time and what, that could be a noteworthy addition to your women's division.
And potentially a needed shot in the arm.
Yeah, that I think that you could definitely have her come in, be like the unstoppable monster.
Yeah.
Have her have some great matches with the likes of Chris Statlander, Ruby Soho.
Yeah.
I'd love to see her face off with Jade Cargill. I think that'd be a great thing. Her and Nyla Rose that would be some great matches there.
Yeah.
There is a possibility because she could generate a buzz. It's not going to be as big as Ronda.
No. But it's a name.
But it's a name, and it would be a shot in the arm like you touched upon with AEW.
Yeah, yeah.
I would say that would be something I would like to see. And I know it was kind of talked about here and there before wrestling, so that's why I'm kind of throwing it out in the ether right now.
I could see it.
Yeah, because honestly, at this stage in the game for her, if you're not fighting Amanda Nunez again, like, who's left?
Right.
And that's the one thing about it. So I don't think that it's even close. And I think that that's the fight they need to make there.
Right.
So we'll kind of have to wait to see what happens this summer. Like I said, it came across the radar that she announced that she'll be a free agent this summer. And I'm saying if Tony Khan wants to put her in either AEW or if whatever is going to be the future of Ring of Honor,
right,
that's a perfect landing spot in my opinion, for her. And to close out, actually, speaking of some AEW, I forgot to mention this as well. They're doing, Pat, because I know that you are not following AEW, the Owen Hart Foundation qualifier tournament. They're doing a big build-up for that.
Yes.
They did announce a match this past week that definitely threw me a little off guard, but they've added something to it.
Uh-huh.
So on Dynamite this week is going to be the Battle of FTR.
Ooh.
So Cash Wheeler is going to face Dax Hardwood. First time ever, last time ever. They said they're just, they want to do it for the tournament. And FTR has been doing a couple solo matches here and there, and they're great. I mean, no matter, they're one of the best tag teams on the planet, and they're going to do this a la Bret Owens style.
Yeah,
I fully see this happening. It has been announced, as the press release came to us from AEW, that one CM Punk will be a guest commentator.
Interesting.
Now, I'm guessing because it's probably going to be an homage to Bret and Owens' match from way back when.
Probably,
and I know that a lot of CM Punk's work, in my opinion, lately has been an homage to Bret Hart. I know that there was the talk that AEW wanted Bret Hart to come to manage FTR, or FTR wanted him to come and manage, whatever the case is. Allegedly so, and obviously rumor has it that might not be going down. Yep. I know it's scheduled for one indie show, and that'll probably be it.
Yep.
Either way, I think this is going to be a fun match to watch.
Should be.
I'm hoping they make it the opener and they give it time.
That would be smart.
That's the only thing. I don't want to see this get lost in the shuffle because we have to have an Undisputed Elite promo, because I think if that happens, I'm going to lose it on Twitter.
That would be the smart move, but we always know that smart and Tony Khan don't always go together in the same sentence.
Right. So fingers crossed for that, but I'm going to tell you what, if you really want to see a fun match this week, old school as it gets, the Battle of FTR, one and done for this, I'm here for it. So definitely make sure to tune into AEW this week and go watch for yourself. So that being said, The music you heard at the beginning of the show is that of Brian Wolf. We know Brian. Brian's not into pro wrestling. He's into football.
Yeah, he is.
He'll talk Packers with you. But, Pat, if I want to find out about Brian, where do I go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing on over to the music section. Check out everything about Brian. Everything is Shout at the Robots. Everything with Floodland, Second Suitor, Tom Sholo, Yard Party. The list goes on and on and on. That's why you need to go over to the page and go check it out. But while you're at the website, check out Parlay Points, which I mentioned. A new Blogs Count Anywhere is out right now for your reading pleasure, where we talk GCW, we talk Glory Pro Wrestling out of St. Louis. Had a fantastic card on YouTube, Pad.
Ooh.
You would love it, actually.
Okay.
So I definitely got to send you that link for that. And also talking some AEW there as well, too. Some other topics that we don't talk about on the 607 Podcast family. I like to kind of have a little words with there to the ODPH Society about. And also, while you're at the website, check out the classified section, which has friends of the show, such as 8122 Productions, doing their 4-year extravaganza this week.
Nice.
Yes, watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Hey.
The Gene Wilder version.
Okay, good.
Yes, yeah,
Good.
not the Johnny Depp one.
Good.
Yes. So that'll be on twitch.tv/607 podcast. That's going to be a fun night. We got a lot of stuff lined up for that Saturday night, I'm telling you right now. Also, we have got organizational links supporting Black Lives Matter. Pod groups that we are in via their Podchaser pages. So if you're not on there, we need to fix that if you're in our groups. So definitely shout out to the Inner Circle, shout out to the Apocalypse, and of course, shout out to #607 Podcast. TeePublic Store sale going on this week. No better way to walk into May than with some new ODPH swag.
Mm-hmm.
So all that, the directory, which how many providers are we on now, Pat?
26,652.
Correct. So if we're not on your favorite podcast player, let us know. We'll fix that. All that and so much more. If it's anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. That's all I got for this week. So for the one and only Padawan
Fuck the Astros.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. We'll see you next time.
Gonna be down to the punch. I'm gonna be down to the punch. 'Cause they can't bring me down if I'm already under the ground. I'm gonna try to make them laugh. I'm gonna try to make them laugh. 'Cause the laughing man's got nothing to say about me. They're judging only by what they can see. This behavior goes way back to ancient history. I hope one day I'll find a way to be free. I know I can't change them. All I can change is me. I'm gonna stick to the master plan. Once I come up with a master plan, it's hard